Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Michelle Bushmeyer, and I am the Rapid Response Coordinator with Pennsylvania's Labor and Industry. And I will be conducting the meeting for you today as far as the trade benefits. And I have with me today also Michelle Mills. She is the Labor and Industry Unemployment Representative. You may have recalled whenever we did the rapid response session, we had discussed those different benefits as far as dislocated worker benefits. And of course, now we're talking about the trade benefits since your trade was approved. So I wanted to just give you a brief history about the Trade Adjustment Assistance Reauthorization Act of 2015, the TRADE Act. It began in 1974 and has made numerous adjustments and changes along the way. But the TRADE Act of 2015 is the best by far. So I do want to thank you all for attending today. This program, of course, is not mandatory. However, it's completely voluntary. However, it is needed, of course, in order for you to be able to receive any of the trade adjustment benefits. All right. So it is not an automatic thing as far as your benefits. You do have to take action. So today's meeting, we'll go ahead and we will discuss all of your responsibilities and also, of course, all of the parts of the TRADE Act. The program provides additional benefits to dislocated workers who are affected by trade, but it is also a very complex program, which requires a three-step eligibility process. Of course, the first thing is that a petition needs filed, and it is filed one of three ways, either through the company, through the union, or three or more workers that are filing collectively. In this case, the company and the union had filed collectively for this trade petition. The next step, of course, is the feds have to conduct an investigation, and then they either certify or deny the trade approval. And then, of course, the third step is that the petition gets certified. So, of course, here we are, which means the petition is certified. That's great news for you. It did take a little bit of time, of course, because our rapid response session was back in November. It took about 8 months for it to get approved. I would think a lot of it had to do with COVID. But nevertheless, we're here, and I want to go ahead and explain those benefits for you. So there's three different very important things to take away from today's meeting. We are going to be discussing the benefits, what they are. We're also going to be addressing where to access these benefits, and then also the time frame in which that you have to use these benefits. And there's also 4 benefits that we're going to be looking at today if you take a look at your agenda. Now, I did have in your email all of the forms that we're going to go ahead and discuss today, so feel free to take a look at those forms specifically. Some of them you will want to go ahead and print out, and we're going to discuss that later as far as printing certain forms out and sending them back into unemployment and so forth. But you can go ahead and refer to those additional forms that I had in your email. But we're going to be talking about the Trade Adjustment Assistance today, the TAA benefits, that is the schooling benefits. We're also going to be discussing the Reemployment Trade Adjustment Assistance, which is the RTAA. We're going to be talking about Health Coverage Tax Credit, the HCTC. And we're also going to be talking about the Trade Readjustment Allowances, or the TRA benefits. So we're going to take a look here, and I'm going to go over some of the forms that you have here, but we have included the PA CareerLink offices, so you can go to any of the PA CareerLink within your area, and you can go ahead and contact the specific TAA individual as far as any of these benefits if you're wishing to attend school. We also have attached the UCP 11D handbook. All right, this is your Bible as far as the trade benefits are concerned. So a lot of it is in plain English, but it is all there for you. So you can refer to that pamphlet or booklet at any time if you do have any specific questions about trade. And there's also attached contact for TRA benefits. And I did attach, of course, a TAA timeline, which we're going to go ahead and discuss here in a minute. And I did do a bigger version here other than what you see on the screen now. Michelle Mills will be discussing the other forms that we have in addition. So these are just some of the additional forms that we'll be discussing. Okay, so the TAA timeline for AK Steel, the petition was certified, and you can see that the number is up there for you, so it's 95390. Anytime you're discussing your trade petition with somebody from the PA Career Link, you're going to want to go ahead and let them know that you're from AK Steel. You may need that petition number. But if you take a look at the timeline, there's going to be some dates here for you, and I'm just going to go over what each of them are. So if you take a look and see the filing date is November 20th, 2019. That is the date that the petition was filed. Then if you would take a look at the certification date of July 6th of 2020, that is the date that the benefits were approved and became eligible and available to you. And it's also considered the first available week of benefits. The impact date is 11/19/2018, and that is the start of the lifespan of the benefits. It's generally 1 year prior to the filing date. And then if you take a look at the expiration date of July 6th, 2022, that's the date that the petition expires. It's generally 2 years following the certification date. It is not the date that the benefits end, it's just the date the door closes to be eligible and covered under that petition. So anybody can be approved between the impact date and the expiration date to take advantage of the trade benefits. We're also going to take a look at the separation date, and that's why we have question marks in there. Once you are separated, you're going to want to enter that separation date. So if you do know your last day of work, you can indicate that in your separation date on your timeline. So I would suggest printing that out. The 26 weeks from certification, we have listed as January 9th of 2021. Okay, this is going to change as you're laid off. It's a very important date that we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. Okay, so I do need to, of course, say that this presentation is for informational purposes only. It doesn't have the force of law or regulation. Please refer to your UCP 11D handbook for further details. Okay. The purpose of the Trade Adjustment Assistance is to return adversely affected workers to suitable employment. What is suitable employment? It's work no less than 80% of final wages covered under employment with equal or higher skills. So in other words, if you're making $35 an hour with AK Steel, you're not going to be going to work for Taco Bell for $10 an hour. It's not suitable employment. Basically, it's not the same amount of money that you're getting paid and also not the same skill set. So basically, let me look here. Okay, so the benefits that are available to workers, this is a very important slide. If you're not able to find any work within your same skill set, you're going to want to take a look at some different things here with the TAA program. But the benefits that are available through the PA Career Link, you have availability for case management services. We're going to talk about job search allowances, relocation allowances, of course, training, RTAA, and then, of course, the health coverage tax credit and the TRA benefits. So while many adversely affected workers may not be eligible to find suitable employment without assistance, the trade programs provide additional benefits to help eligible workers find jobs. To be eligible for benefits, you must apply, have a qualifying separation from the trade certified employment between the impact date and the expiration date. Of course, the qualifying separation would be lack of work. So in other words, you did not quit your job or you were not fired from your employer. You must also have at least one total separation of 7 or more consecutive days or reduction of hours and wages of at least 80%. To be eligible for TRA and RTAA benefits, you must have at least one total separation. And of course, we're going to talk about adversely affected incumbent workers and deployed military service. You want to contact your PA Career Link and reference the UCP 11D for more information. Okay, so when you're applying for the trade benefits for schooling, you're going to want to read your handbook carefully and, of course, pay attention to those deadlines. Many of the benefits that are available are only available to you after you have enrolled with the PA Career Link. I know some of that has gone away with the COVID as far as registering with the PA Career Link, but this is something that would be a necessity in order to be eligible for these benefits. So if you are not already enrolled, you're going to want to enroll at the pacareerlink.pa.gov. And each of these benefits that we're going to be talking about today need to be applied for separately and also in advance of receiving those benefits. And also, of course, it says that you need to apply within a reasonable period of time while you're an effective worker. So you do have eligibility of waiting 26 weeks. You're not going to want to wait that full 26 weeks before applying for school. So if it's something that you might be interested in, just kind of listen to what we're talking about here today with the timelines, and you're going to want to contact the PA Career Link, of course, as soon as possible. If you have any questions about the TRA benefits, you're going to want to contact the UC Service Center at 888-313-7284, and you're going to select the option to speak with a TRA representative. All right, now when we had talked before about benefits that are eligible for dislocated worker, these are some of the benefits that any dislocated worker is eligible for free of charge. So if you walk into the PA Career Link, you can get an assessment of interest, you can look for financial aid through the dislocated worker funding, you can be eligible for career counseling, you have access to labor market information, and of course supportive services. You're going to be looking around your local area for jobs and you don't find anything that you find suitable for you, the job search allowance can help you with the cost of looking for work. So the job search allowance helps reimburse your cost of job searches outside of the normal commuting area when suitable long-term work is not available. Participants may not receive more than 90% reimbursement of allowable costs for a maximum reimbursement of $1,250. The allowance is, of course, going to cover your gas, meals, tolls, any hotel stays for yourself. It's not going to cover anything as far as a spouse. So if you do look outside of that area for a job search, your spouse or somebody can go along, but it, of course, is going to only count what your expenses are. For relocation allowance, if you and your family are relocating within the U.S. or territories within the U.S., when new suitable long-term employment is obtained outside of the normal commuting area, you may be eligible for 90% of the reasonable and necessity expenses for moving you, your family, your household, and also 3 times your average weekly wage up to $1,250. So in other words, if you're looking and you find that there's a long-term suitable job and it might be in South Carolina, you would go ahead and go through the process prior to relocating, but if you're able to obtain employment and it is a long-term suitable, meaning it doesn't have an end date, okay? So if it's something that you think you're going to be out long-term, then they will go ahead and approve the relocation allowance for you to move your whole family in effect. Of course, with anything, time limits are very important. You're going to want to read your UCP 11D for details. It's also very important that you contact your trade representative at the PA Career Link to get your job search or relocation allowances approved before you go to that interview or before you move. If you don't get that pre-approval to show up at the PA Career Link and you actually go ahead and do the move and you are going into the PA Career Link and you're submitting a whole bunch of different expenses, they can try to submit those receipts, but most likely they're going to be denied for reimbursement because you didn't get that pre-qualified. So just make sure, of course, as we talked about Taco Bell, you're not going to move to South Carolina to work for Taco Bell, right? Okay. So the requirements for the State Act approved training is, like I said, if you are not able to obtain suitable employment based on your current education or work experience, then the trade benefits may be very good for you. It is very important, of course, that you maintain any documents of all job searches or contacts and efforts. It's just information that is required as part of the application for the Trade Act approved training. So like I said, the trade training is the third and most important benefit of the trade program. Nothing around is going to exceed this program for benefits for training. So the types of training that are eligible are employer-based training, on-the-job training, registered apprenticeship training, customized job training. If you need remedial classes, so one of the other things that they will do for you is they're going to assess before you go to school. They're going to test your math, English, and reading proficiency. And if they feel that you need some remedial classes, they're going to go ahead and be able to pay for those classes. They're also going to have you, you're also eligible for occupational or incumbent worker training. Okay. So like I said, what they're going to do is they'll have an interest profiler, and they're going to take a look at some of those trainings available. And as I said, if you're eligible for training and you need remedial, they're going to go ahead and make sure that you're up to date and you're up to par with that, because you only have one opportunity to go to school through the Trade Act. So they're going to make sure that you're eligible and you're good to go. All right. As far as the trade approved training, approval is required by the Borough of Workforce Partnership, BWPO, Trade Act services before you attend the training. If you begin training before the written approval, only the costs that are incurred after the approval of training may be funded. In other words, don't just go out today and sign up for the next available class for the fall, or I guess the next session. Any benefits or any schooling that you have prior to being approved would be your responsibility. So any training must be approved through the PA careerlink.pa.gov under the training opportunities or trade. We do have a very big list of training opportunities, so you can discuss with your PA Career Link which is best for you under that training. And you're only eligible for one training per petition. In order to receive the benefits, of course, we do pay for up to 130 weeks, which is a 2-year program. At the state level, if you were looking at the dislocated worker funds that we had talked about for the rapid response session, and you were going to school, the maximum amount of school training that we would be able to approve would be between around 4,000 and 8,000 max. However, with the federal level here, with the trade benefits, you're looking at up to $25,000, and that's certainly not a cap for benefits. So it's definitely a really nice portion if you're looking at going to school. If it's something that you're considering, you definitely want to look at it. You must be a full-time student to receive the TRA cash benefits, but when training is going to make you more employable, they're going to do this. The only thing that we're not going to fund is for a PhD. So one of the questions that a lot of people have is, whether they can be approved for maybe a bachelor's or a master's. And the answer is yes, or if you need to finish any kind of schooling. So as long as it's not a PhD. Also, Harrisburg either approves or denies the schooling, so you must get that approval prior to the start of school. Okay, so you want to make sure you do that. Anything that is incurred prior to the approval is your responsibility. All right, so we're looking at now a slide for cash benefits while enrolled in training. And of course, you see the highlighted is in red, which is very, very, very important. Okay, so it's the third point to take away from this meeting. So please circle this, highlight it, whatever you need to do. But to be eligible for the TRA weekly cash benefits while attending training, you must be enrolled in the Trade Act approved training by the end of the 26th week after the petition certification, or at the end of the 26th week after your most recent qualifying separation from the employer, which is whatever is later. So that's why that date on the timeline is very important. You're either going to look after the petition certification, or if your date qualification, your separation is later, then you'll have 26 weeks from that date. But as mentioned earlier, you're not going to want to wait until you're on your 26th week of benefits before trying to apply for school. You want to try to get in sooner than later. All right. And the enrollment requirement must be set to be eligible for any type of TRA. The requirement can be waived for a limited period of time for up to one of 3 conditions. So as mentioned here, if you're going to look, you can go ahead and print out your timeline. And that's why the 26 weeks from certification or your 26 weeks from separation date is important. Also, one thing to consider too, you don't want to wait, because sometimes the start dates of the classes you might want to take might not align with your deadline. And sometimes classes might get canceled due to low enrollment. Of course, now with COVID, there's different things too that they may get canceled if they don't have that enrollment. So if it's not possible to get into your class before the 26-week deadline, you're going to want to make sure that you get that waiver. Okay, so for those conditions of waiver, they will allow the waiver under three conditions. The delay is the first available enrollment date for training. So basically, if your your start date isn't till June, then you can get a waiver to cover you between now and then. Also, if the training is not available, sometimes the trainings are only available at certain times of year. So you want to make sure that you do have that waiver to cover you in between, or there may not be funds available. Sometimes they change the classes if they don't have those funds. The third condition, of course, is if the worker is in poor health and unable to participate in training. A waiver under these circumstances does not exempt workers from the requirements under the unemployment laws related to being available for work. The active search requirements or the refusal to accept suitable work. So like I said, make sure that you still are eligible to receive unemployment benefits under the poor health condition. Okay, and also waivers must be continuous, meaning no breaks in coverage to preserve the eligibility for waivers are not effective unless renewed. And it's also your responsibility to contact the PA CareerLink prior to your expiration date of the waiver to review and possibly renew or extend that waiver. So in other words, weekends, holidays, etc., can definitely affect those dates of those waiver end dates. And unfortunately, they will not care. Okay, so nothing says that we have to issue you a waiver. So it's definitely your responsibility to look over your own benefits. So if you see that your waiver is going to be running out, you're going to want to contact the PA CareerLink and get an extension on that waiver. All right, these are your benefits to use, but they're also your benefits to lose. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be talking about today, as mentioned, is you would have a handout for RTAA and then also the HCTC. So you can go ahead and pull out those handouts if you want to actually read what's on here. We'll be briefly discussing each of the programs. The RTAA benefits provide assistance to eligible trade-effective workers age 50 or older who obtain new employment that pays less than their trade-effective employment. The RTAA benefits listed below are available for workers. So if you take a look at your RTAA guidelines, you will see everything listed here. And the RTAA benefits will pay 50% of the difference between the worker's wages at the time of the qualifying separation and then the worker's wages from new employment. So if you're age around 48 or older, you're going to want to take a look and listen into this benefit, because this benefit, like I said, is only for 50 and older to obtain new employment. The RTAA benefits may not exceed $10,000 and are directly affected by how many weeks of TRA payments you did or did not receive. RTAA benefits may be paid for a period of up to 2 years from either the date that you were ending eligibility for unemployment based on the separation from your old job or the date worker begins new employment, whichever is earlier. So in other words, if you did want to get a job and you're a welder making $20 an hour, you go to Bob's Welding, he only pays $10 an hour, they're going to add $5 an hour, making your wage $15 an hour. Basically the RTAA benefits. Now, once a worker has received RTAA benefit payments, you are no longer eligible to receive any kind of trade readjustment allowances, the TRA cash benefits. So in other words, basically, if you would be possibly interested in going to school, you're going to want to go ahead and do that or look into the TRA benefits first. And then once those benefits are done, then you can look into the RTAA. But once you are eligible for that RTAA, you cannot go back and then receive those TRA benefits. In order to receive those benefits for the eligibility, you will need to contact the Unemployment Compensation Department. They're going to have to do what's called a written determination, or Form 857. You must be at least 50 years of age and reemployed full-time as defined by the state, and you cannot earn more than $50,000. So if you need to get a job and you're making $49,900, just make sure, you'd be eligible at least until you got that raise getting you over the $50,000. You must be employed at least 20 hours a week or more if enrolled in the Trade Act approved full-time training. You may not return to employment at the same place that you were last hired, so you cannot return back to AK Steel and be eligible for that RTAA benefit. So if you are interested in those RTAA benefits, you're going to want to contact the PA CareerLink. Basically, it's very easy. They're going to just need the last 3 or 4 pay stubs of straight wages from AK Steel and your driver's license, and then, of course, a new pay stub from your new employer. A worker who is not yet 50 at the time of reemployment, but then reaches age 50 during the applicable 104, which is a 2-week eligibility period, may be eligible to receive those RTAA benefits, provided that you meet all of the other requirements. So you want to go ahead and pay attention to that. If you're close to that age range, you're going to want to look into that. The RTAA benefits are not payable for any weeks of employment prior to the worker's 50th birthday. So you can go ahead, like I said, and take a look at your RTAA handout. If you have any questions, you can certainly, like I said, we can talk about that with your PA CareerLink representative. Also, okay, hold on one second here. Okay, so now for the HCTC, I want to talk to you about that. As far as the handout, that is through the IRS. It's really not a trade benefit. It's actually a tax credit of 72.5% of your health care costs. So if you take a look at your handout, you actually have a few options. You can do an annual HTCT, which you pay 100% of your health insurance premium. They give you a 72.5% eligibility premium under the tax credit, tax return. So basically, you would complete an IRS Form 8885 for your federal taxes. You can also choose to do advanced monthly payments, where you would pay 27.5% to the healthcare provider, and then the feds would pick up the other 72.5%. To take a look at those eligibility and general requirements, unfortunately, if you do have any questions regarding the HCTC program, you would have to contact the IRS. There is a website and a phone number located on the back of that handout. So, like I said, you can go ahead and print out that handout and access that information if you needed to, if you wanted to take advantage of that. It also has on the handout the qualifying health plans that are eligible, of course, some general requirements and eligibility as well. All right, so as far as those benefits here, the review, make sure you contact the UC Service Center and request the PAA determination. You're also going to contact your nearest PA CareerLink, and we have that handout with all those local career links. And if you're eligible for, or if you're interested in the reemployment services, job search allowances, relocation, or training, or RTAA, you're going to want to contact them as soon as possible. Also read your UCP handbook for any deadlines. So like I said, those deadlines are one of the most important things. So make sure that you pay attention to those deadlines. And then, like I said, if you're eligible to receive that training, then you would be all good to go. So at this point in time, does anybody have any questions about anything that I have discussed here?
I am looking in the chat. I don't see anything yet, Michelle.
Okay. If anybody does have any questions, if it comes to mind, then certainly go ahead and put it in the chat. And you can reach out to us. We'll go ahead and try to answer those questions. But next, I do actually have with me Michelle Mills, the unemployment representative, and she is going to be talking about those cash benefits, which are the trade readjustment allowances, or the TRA benefits. So Michelle, whenever you're ready, you are good to go.
All right, thanks. Again, today we're going to be talking about the money portion of the trade benefits. TRA is commonly referred to as TRA weekly cash benefits or TRA cash benefits. TRA is not an extension of your unemployment compensation and has different eligibility requirements. TRA provides income support while a worker participates in TRADE Act approved training unless waived from the training enrollment requirements or after completion of TRADE Act approved training. Unemployment compensation benefits and trade readjustment allowances may not cover the entire period of training. In order to qualify for TRA cash benefits, you must be an adversely affected worker covered by a certified petition. You must be separated from the certified employment due to a lack of work. If you quit your job, if you were discharged from your job, you would not qualify. It has to be a lack of work. You must enroll in training or be under a waiver before the end of the end of the 26th week after the certification date or the end of the 26th week after your most recent qualifying separation. You must have worked for the certified employer for at least 26 weeks in the 52 weeks prior to your separation date. You must have earned $30 or more per week in each of the 26 weeks worked. In order to receive TRA weekly cash benefits, you must be enrolled in training or be issued a written waiver. Enrolled means that you have received a written notice of acceptance into a TRADE Act approved training program, and your training is to begin within 30 calendar days of the date of the approval. There's a couple different types of TRA benefits. First, there is the basic TRA. It is up to 52 weeks minus any unemployment entitlement while attending approved full-time training or if you are waived from the training enrollment requirements or after completion of the approved training. So what that means is if you could be entitled to 52 weeks, but they automatically take whatever you were entitled to receive on regular unemployment. So if it was 26 weeks that you received on regular unemployment, that basic TRA benefit would then become 26 weeks. It's only paid when you are either in training, if you're waived from the training, or after you complete the training. Then there is the additional TRA. It is up to 65 weeks while participating in an approved full-time training in a fixed 78-week period. Additional TRA benefits end when training is completed, terminated, or withdrawn. So let's say that you have received your 26 weeks that you were entitled to for the basic TRA benefit, but now you're in the full-time training program, you could get up to 65 additional weeks. This is not available if you are not in full-time training. Then there is also the completion TRA. It is up to 13 weeks in a fixed 20-week period while participating in an approved full-time training if it is required to complete the training. TRA weekly benefit amount. Your basic TRA weekly benefit amount will be the same as the weekly benefit amount paid on your UC claim in effect at the time of your first qualifying total or partial separation after the impact date of that petition. If you are not participating in full-time trade approved training, you can work and earn up to 30% of your maximum weekly benefit amount in a week without reducing your unemployment. This is the same, this amount is known as your partial benefit credit, and this works the same exact way as the regular unemployment does. So you can earn 30% of your weekly benefit amount, still receive the full weekly benefit amount. Anything over that 30% or partial benefit credit would then be deducted dollar for dollar from your weekly benefit amount. However, if you are participating in full-time Trade Act approved training, you can work and earn up to the combined total of your maximum weekly benefit amount plus your partial benefit credit before the weekly benefits start being reduced. When there's a break in training, if there is a scheduled break in training, you may be paid basic or additional TRA cash benefits if it is scheduled by the training school, you are participating in training immediately before and after the break, and it does not exceed 30 calendar days. So usually the biggest one that that exceeds more than 30 days is the summer break. However, if it's part of your training package that you're attending school during that summer break, then of course you wouldn't have any issues. But if it's a break in the training and you're not in that training for more than 30 days, you would not be able to receive the TRA benefits during that break. Completion TRA is not payable during any break in training, even if the break is scheduled by the training provider. Appeal rights. You have the right to appeal a department determination to a UC referee within 15 days from the date the ruling is mailed. You have the right to appeal the decision of a UC referee to the UC Board of Review within 15 days. You have the right to request reconsideration from the UC Board of Review within 15 days of the date of the board's decision. And then you have the right to appeal the decision from the UC Board of Review to the Commonwealth Court within 30 days from the date the ruling is mailed to you. So in summary, in order to receive any TRA cash benefit, you must be enrolled in participating in Trade Act approved full-time training, and that would be for the basic, additional, and the completion TRA. Or if you have successfully completed the Trade Act approved training and you are conducting weekly work searches, that would be for the basic TRA only. Or if you are waived from the training enrollment requirement and conducting weekly work searches, that is also for the basic TRA only. One thing that I want to touch base on right now, once we're looking at this about the weekly work searches, although they have been, right now for regular unemployment, you do not have to do the weekly work searches. However, when it comes to applying for your trade benefits, the federal programs wants to see that you are doing some kind of work searches. So if you are interested in any of the trade benefits, it is in your benefit to do some work searches, even though it's right now you don't have to do it as a requirement for regular unemployment, but the trade benefits still want to see that you're trying to do something. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so on here we also have, this is your application for the TRA benefits. Most of you should have them available and be able to use them. You can either print them, complete them, and then send them to the TRA unit. Some of the forms should be interactive, so if you have them on your computer now, you should be able to just complete them as they sit and send them in. We also have this UCP 11D. It is the Trade Act certification. It says that you have received the handbook, which there is the handbook in the PowerPoint. You have to sign this, put your Social Security number, and date it. And you would return that with your application, again, to the TRA department. This will get you your determination for the trade benefits. You have to have a determination to take to the career link to start any of this process. They have to see that determination. So we're going to go back to the PowerPoint, and I'll give you a little bit of instruction on how to fill it out. So the first portion of that form, you want to fill out your name, your address, Social Security number, telephone number, and your email address, date of birth. There's a question on there that asks if you are a citizen of the United States. You must complete that. If you are not a citizen and you can send your work authorization documents can be submitted, and here's the email address and a fax number. The fax number is 717-772-0378. Or you can take the documents to your local Pennsylvania Career Link. And then you're going to want to skip down to Section A. Section B is we only need B2, which is the dates of your period of employment. B3 is your occupation. Be as specific as possible when you're putting in your occupation. B5 is the number of weeks that you worked and earned $30 or more. B7 is your type of separation, which would be total if you're totally laid off. B8 is the reason for separation. If it was a lack of work or a quit or a discharge, that's where you would enter that. And then if it is other than a lack of work, you would need to complete Section B9 and enter the reason. Section C. C1, did you work for any other employer after the employment shown in Section A or B? So if you say yes, you would have to put that employer's information in there. C2, have you filed a request for a determination of entitlement prior to this application? Either yes or no. And of course, C3, do you have current entitlement to unemployment benefits? That would, again, would be yes or no. And then you want to flip the application over to the back, Section C4. That was a yes or no. Have you received unemployment benefits or non-trade training allowances since the employment shown in Section A or B? C5, are you enrolled in or since the date of your TAA qualifying separation, have you completed a Trade Act training program? C6, since the employment shown in Section A or B, have you failed to report to a referred training program or have you been terminated from any training program? C7, are you participating in on-the-job training? Section D, we would need D1. You can leave that blank. We don't need that, I'm sorry. D2, leave that one blank also. D3 would be the number of weeks you worked. If it was 26 or more, you could just put 26 plus. And D4, the number of hours you worked each week. And then, of course, this is just an example of the UCP 11C, the certification, Social Security number, name, and date. Here are the trade unit contact methods. So if you need to contact the TRA unit, that is, again, the money portion, not the training or anything else. It's just the money portion. This is your TRA unit contacts. They do have an email address listed. Their fax number is 412-267-1479 is the fax number. The telephone number is 888-313-7284, but you will have to hit option number 4. There is a voicemail callback line that is 412-267-3255, and you could leave a message including your name, your Social Security number, and your phone number to be reached at, and a representative will call you back typically within a business day. Does anybody have any questions?
All right, Michelle, this is a couple in the chat. Give me a moment. Just for a little suggestion on what to do, I'm not able to contact the 800 number, 888 number. Any helpful advice for getting through to unemployment compensation, Michelle?
You can use the chat line, you can email the UC Help, or contact the 888 number.
I moved to New Jersey. Can I get local TRA?
You would have to contact for all of the other benefits, you would have to go to your one-stop shop in the state that you live in. But the TRA monies, if you qualify for regular unemployment in the state of Pennsylvania, then the TRA benefits would also be paid from the state of Pennsylvania. So it's wherever your unemployment claim is from. If you don't qualify for Pennsylvania unemployment, then the TRA can't be paid from Pennsylvania either.
Thank you. So if we were to get the TRA benefits at any point, we wouldn't be able to return to our old place of employment?
You have to have a total separation from them. So if you don't have that total separation, you wouldn't qualify for the benefits.